Welcome back to the deep dive. Um, we have a stack of sources today that are, well, frankly, they're a little disorienting.
Oh, yeah, deeply disorienting.
Right. We are looking at a shift in technology that is happening so fast that even the people building it seem a little freaked out, honestly. We were talking about a concept called vibe coding.
Which is a term that sounds incredibly casual for something so disruptive, doesn't it? It sounds like something you do while lying in a hammock.
Exactly. It sounds like a Spotify playlist genre, like lo-fi beats for vibe coding.
Right.
But the sources, we have articles from the New York Times, technical breakdowns from Anthropic, and some very dense commentary from AI researchers. They all suggest this is actually the biggest change in human-computer interactions since, like, the invention of the graphical user interface.
That is not an exaggeration.
Oh.
I mean, I know you're hype all the time, but that's a very real assessment.
So let's start with the name, because vibe coding sounds pretty silly. Where did this come from?
It comes from Andrej Karpathy.
Oh.
And for context, for those of you listening, we need to establish who he is. He isn't just some tech influencer on social media.
Right, he's a heavy hitter.
Massive. He was the director of AI at Tesla, and he was a founding member of OpenAI. So he is literally one of the architects of the modern AI landscape.
Okay, so when he speaks, people listen.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And about a year ago, he coined this term to describe a phenomenon he was seeing in his own work.
Hmm.
He realized that he wasn't really writing code anymore. He wasn't worrying about syntax or semicolons or memory management. He was just describing the vibe of what he wanted.
The intent.
Right, the intent. And the AI was doing the actual heavy lifting.
Oh, okay, but I have to push back on this immediately, because you and I both know we have heard this promise for years. We've had no-code tools, low-code platforms, drag-and-drop website builders.
Oh, yeah, the old WISI, editors.
Right, exactly. And they all promised that you could build the next Facebook without knowing how to bound, but invariably they all hit a wall. You want to move a button 3 pixels to the left and the whole thing breaks.
The whole system shatters.
Yeah. So why is vibe coding any different from the last 5 hype cycles we've seen?
That is the million-dollar question. And the difference lies in the flexibility. See, previous no-code tools were rigid. You were playing with Lego blocks that someone else designed.
And if you needed a block that didn't exist?
You were totally stuck. You hit a dead end. Vibe coding isn't about using pre-made blocks. It's about using natural language plain English to generate the actual code.
Oh.
The AI is writing Python. It's writing JavaScript. It's writing C++i. It's just that you, the human, never have to look at it if you don't want to.
So it's essentially translation layer. I speak human and it speaks machine.
Precisely. But here's the crazy part. The sources we're looking at today suggest we have already blown past that initial definition. Vibe coding was just the beginning.
And we're talking about a term coined just a year ago.
Right, and it's already outdated. Where we are now, literally in the last few months, is what the industry is calling the agentic phase.
The agentic phase. This term was all over the research. Agents. It sounds like we're in a spy movie.
It's a useful metaphor, though. Think about the difference between a tool and an agent. A hammer is a tool, right? It sits on the table until you pick it up.
And ChatGPT mostly has been a tool.
Exactly. You ask a question, it gives an answer, and then it goes dormant. It waits for you.
Right, it's passive. It's a really fancy, interactive encyclopedia.
Exactly. But an agent has agency. That's the root word. An agent doesn't just answer, it acts. You give it a high-level goal like plan a vacation for me or build a web app that tracks my crypto portfolio, and it goes off and executes a loop.
A loop?
Yes, it plans, it acts, it observes the result, and if it failed, it corrects itself and tries again, all without you doing anything.
That loop is the part I really want to drill into here, because I think most people watching this space, myself included, still view AI as a chatbot. I ask it answers. If the answer's wrong, I get annoyed and try to rephrase the prompt.
The standard workflow.
Right, that's the workflow. How is this new agent workflow practically different?
Let's look at the source material regarding Claude Code or similar agentic tools.
Yeah.
Because this is where it gets a little sci-fi. When you use these agents, you aren't just typing into a web browser anymore. You are giving the AI access to your terminal.
The terminal. Okay, for you non-technical listeners out there, we are talking about the command line, the black screen with the green text and the blinking cursor from the movies.
Yes, but it's way more than just a screen. The terminal is the actual nervous system of your computer.
Yeah.
It has pseudo-privileges, or at least it can.
Meaning it has total control.
Total control. It can create files, delete folders, install software packages, run servers, and push code to the internet. Giving an AI access to this is a massive leap in trust.
It sounds terrifying, honestly. I mean, I barely trust myself with the terminal. One wrong command and you wipe your hard drive.
Valid fear. But that deep access is what allows the agent to be a builder rather than just a talker. In the old workflow, the chatbot era, if you wanted code, you asked for it, and the bot would spit out a block of text.
Right, then I'd copy it.
You'd copy it, you'd paste it into your text editor, you'd try to run it, and it would inevitably error out.
Always.
So then you'd copy the error message, paste it back into the chat, and say, hey, you messed up, fix this.
I call that the copy-paste loop of hell. I know it very well.
Right, we all do. But in the agentic workflow, that loop is gone. The AI creates the file directly on your hard drive. It runs the file itself. It sees the error message in the terminal itself.
So it's reading its own errors.
Yes. It reads the error, analyzes why it happened, maybe a missing library, maybe a syntax error, and then it rewrites the code, saves the file again, and reruns it. You might be off getting a coffee while this is happening.
So it's literally troubleshooting itself. It's not just generating a first draft, it's iterating.
Iterating is the exact right word. And the architecture allowing this is fascinating. The research describes this concept of mini-robots or sub-agents working together.
Yes, this was the swarm idea in the sources. Can you explain how that works? Because reading it, it sounded chaotic.
It's actually highly organized. Think of it like a corporate structure. You have the manager agent. You tell the manager, I want a dashboard that visualizes supply chain data from these 3 spreadsheets. The manager doesn't do all the work. It breaks the project down.
Okay, so it delegates.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It might spin up a research agent to go look at the documentation for a specific charting library. It spins up a coding agent to write the Python script to parse the CSV files. It might even spin up a QA agent, a quality assurance robot, whose entire job is to try and break the code the other robot just wrote.
Wait, so you have one robot writing code and another robot trying to break it all happening inside my laptop.
Simultaneously.
Yeah.
And they share a context window, basically a shared memory. So if the QA robot finds a bug, it reports it back to the manager who tells the coder to fix it. This all happens in seconds or maybe minutes, whereas a human team would take days of Slack messages and Zoom calls to coordinate that exact same workflow.
That is incredibly efficient, but it also feels a bit abstract. I want to ground this for you listening, because the sources detailed a specific story involving Kevin Roose, the tech columnist for the New York Times. And I think this story really crystallizes why this moment is different.
The Kevin Roose example is perfect because he represents a very specific demographic. He's tech-savvy, he knows about code, but he isn't a professional software engineer. He doesn't spend his days pushing code to GitHub.
Right. And he decided to test one of these agentic tools, specifically Replic's agent features, to build something. And not just the simple Hello World text script, but an actual app.
He wanted to build a website for his podcast co-host, but he wanted it to feature a fully playable, physics-based football game. Now think about the complexity there for a second. You need a physics engine, you need collision detection, you need a scoring system, you need graphics.
If I had to build that, I wouldn't even know which Google search to start with, like how to code gravity.
Exactly. So Roose types in his prompt. He basically just describes the vibe. I want a football game where you flick the ball and it bounces and so on. He hits enter, and then he just watches the logs.
The logs. This is the part that gave me goosebumps when I was reading it, the whole Matrix moment.
Right. He describes seeing the agent thinking. It wasn't just typing text for him to copy. It was actively creating directories. It was installing packages. It was writing code, testing it, seeing it fail, and rewriting it in real time. And the entire process, from pressing enter to having a fully functional, playable game on the screen, took exactly 96 seconds.
96 seconds. 1 minute and 36 seconds.
Think about that. And the time it takes you to tie your shoes and put on a coat. This thing did what a junior developer might take a full week to do.
And it actually worked. It wasn't just a glitchy mess that barely ran.
It worked. Roose played it. It had physics. It had score. Look, it wasn't a AAA video game. It wasn't Red Dead Redemption. But it was a functional piece of custom software. Roose called it the first true awe moment he's had since the original launch of ChatGPT.
I think the word awe is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Because awe can mean wonder, but it can also mean terror.
Oh, absolutely.
And that brings us to the elephant in the room that the sources tackle head on.
The economic impact.
Yeah. If a robot can do a week's worth of work in 96 seconds and it costs, what, a fraction of a cent in electricity, what happens to the human who used to do that work? We aren't talking about abstract hypotheticals anymore.
No, we aren't.
That.
And we need to be very clear about what the data is showing right now. We are moving from the cool tech demo phase to the harsh market reality phase.
Yeah.
The sources cite a study from Stanford that looked at actual job postings.
Specifically for software engineers.
Yes, and specifically for entry-level software engineers.
They juniors.
So fresh college graduates. Since 2022, job postings for this demographic have dropped by roughly 20%.
20% in 2 years. That is a crash.
It's a massive contraction. And you have to understand the logic from the company's perspective. Why do you hire a junior engineer? You hire them to do the grunt work.
Writing unit tests, fixing minor bugs, setting up server environments. You pay them to do that so they can learn and eventually become senior engineers.
Right, it's an apprenticeship model, basically.
But if an AI agent can do that grunt work in seconds with zero complaints at any time of day, the economic incentive to hire a human trainee just evaporates overnight.
This is the junior developer crisis. But reading the sources, it really feels like it's going to spill over. If these agents can research and plan and organize files, that's not just coding. That's being a paralegal. That's being a marketing analyst. That's being a bureaucratic administrator.
You are spot on. And the CEO of Anthropic, Dario Amodei, made a prediction that is frankly staggering. He forecasted that within the next 5 years, 50% of entry-level white-collar jobs could disappear or radically change.
50%. Half. Half of them. And notice he said change or disappear. It doesn't necessarily mean mass unemployment for everyone, but it means the nature of the job changes completely. If your job consists primarily of taking information from one spreadsheet, formatting it, and putting it into a PowerPoint, you are in the danger zone. That is just vibe coding applied to office work.
This feels like we're standing on a cliff edge, and the fog is so thick we can't see the bottom. But the other thing the sources mentioned, and this is the part that feels straight out of a sci-fi novel, is that these systems aren't just getting better because humans are tinkering with them in a lab somewhere. They are getting better because they're tinkering with themselves.
Yeah, cursive self-improvement. This is the core concept that keeps AI researchers awake at night.
Write that down for us, because recursive self-improvement sounds like a yoga retreat for robots.
I wish it were that benign. Imagine a hammer that is smart enough to design a better hammer. Once it builds that better hammer, the new one is even smarter, so it can build an even better hammer. You get an exponential curve of intelligence improvement.
And we are actively seeing this. This isn't just theoretical philosophy.
We are seeing the early stages right now. The reports indicate that OpenAI's latest models were used to generate the training data and write the actual code for their own successors. The AI is helping build the next AI.
So the timeline for all these predictions is just compressing.
Drastically.
Yeah.
It used to be that we could predict technology trends in decades. Moore's Law gave us a nice predictable rhythm. Now, Kevin Roose mentioned that he has stopped trying to predict the technology landscape more than 6 months out.
6 months. I have milk in my fridge that expires in 6 months.
It means the prediction horizon has completely collapsed. We don't know what these models will be capable of in a few years. If an agent today can build a functional website in 96 seconds, what can an agent in 2 years do? Can it build an entire tech startup from scratch? Can it run a global marketing campaign entirely autonomously? We honestly don't know.
Okay, I can feel the listener's blood pressure rising. I know my blood pressure is rising. We've painted a picture of incredible power, but also incredible displacement. If the builder role is dead, if I don't need to learn Python or how to organize server files or how to format a spreadsheet because the robot does it better, what is left for the human? What is my job in this new economy?
The sources are actually quite optimistic on this point, but it does require a massive mindset shift. We are moving from a world of builders to a world of orchestrators.
Orchestrators. Unpack that for me.
Think of a movie director. Christopher Nolan doesn't operate the camera. He doesn't sew the costumes. He doesn't edit the sound. But the movie is entirely his vision. He orchestrates a team of highly skilled experts to execute his vibe.
So in this analogy, the AI is the camera operator, the costume designer, and the sound editor.
Exactly. And you are the director. The barrier to entry for the execution of an idea is gone. But the barrier to entry for vision and taste is higher than ever.
Taste. That's a really interesting word to bring into a deeply technical discussion.
But it's the most important word now. The AI can generate code, but it doesn't know if the app is actually fun to use. It can write a blog post, but it doesn't know if it's insightful or just boring filler. It can design a logo, but it doesn't know if it resonates culturally with humans. All of that requires human taste.
So the hard skills of the future aren't syntax and fast typing. They are what? Communication.
Communication, critical thinking, and system design. You need to be able to look at the output of the agent and say, that's wrong. Fix it right here. You need to be the editor-in-chief. You need to handle the cultural ambiguity that the machine simply can't resolve.
So if you're listening to this and you're worried about your job, the advice isn't learn to code anymore. It's learn to lead.
Learn to manage. Treat these agents like very fast, very eager, but slightly literal-minded interns. You need to give them crystal clear instructions. You need to check their work constantly. You need to stitch their disparate outputs together into a cohesive whole.
It's weirdly paradoxical. As the tech gets more unimaginably complex, the skills required to actually use it become more distinctly human.
That is the grand irony of all this. The more tech the underlying system becomes, the more soft skills determine your success with it. A person with a brilliant idea and terrible coding skills can now outbuild a genius coder who has no original ideas.
That is a massive leveling of the playing field.
It really is. It's the ultimate democratization of creation.
Mm-hmm.
But it requires you to step up. You can't just be a passive cog in the machine anymore because the machine is replacing the cogs.
Yeah.
You have to be the operator.
So let's wrap this up with a final thought for you listening. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've talked about 96-second websites, robot swarms living in your terminal, and the potential collapse of the junior job market. If they take one thing away from this deep dive, what should it be?
I'd say this. Don't ignore the speed of this transition. If you are sitting there thinking, oh, I have 5 years to figure this out before it affects my industry, you are wrong. The speed of 96 seconds is going to become 10 seconds. The simple website is going to become complex enterprise software. The tools are in your hands right now. Start experimenting today. Be the orchestrator now before you're forced to be one later when everyone else already knows how.
Yeah. I think my plan for the weekend is to fire up one of these agents and see if I can get it to finally organize my chaotic digital photo library.
Good luck with that. Just make sure you check the terminal before it issues a delete command.
Right. I will definitely keep a close eye on the delete commands. But, it leaves me with one last provocative thought to mull over. If we are shifting to become the orchestrators directing these digital agents, it makes you wonder about the next logical step. What happens when these recursive, self-improving agents get so smart that they realize they need physical things done in the real world and they start orchestrating us?
Wow. Human agents working for digital managers, that's a deep rabbit hole.
Right. Something to keep you up at night. Thanks for breaking all this down with us today. It's terrifying, it's exciting, and it's happening right now. To everyone listening, keep your vibes good and your prompts clear. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.